the big, beautiful bill was passed. I want to talk about this bill. I think it's significant because we're going to see a terrible change. We're going to see a terrible escalation in militarism inside this country, which we'll talk about, and internationally. The bill, as we all know, takes from the poor to give to the rich. Millions will be kicked off Medicare and Medicaid with over $1 billion of cuts to the program in order to fund a massive tax cut, which will mostly benefit the rich. That's obvious. There are also billions of dollars tucked into this bill for the military industrial complex. As Tom Engelhart and Bill Hartung write at Tom Dispatch, but it was republished by antiwar.com. The Libertarian Mises Institute has a similar analysis. And, here's an excerpt from their piece, which everyone should read. Much of the funding in the bill will flow into the districts of key members of Congress. For example, the Golden Dome project. This is Trump's attempt to replicate the Israeli Iron Dome that failed in the face of Iranian attacks. Will send billions of dollars to companies based in Huntsville, Alabama, which calls itself Rocket City because of the dense network of outfits. They are working on both offensive missiles and missile defense systems. And that, of course, is music to the ears of Representative Mike Rogers, the current chair of the House Armed Services Committee, who happens to come from Alabama. He's also, one of the biggest neocons in Congress, one of the biggest supporters of Israel, one of the biggest supporters of the Ukraine proxy war, and you can see why. The Golden Dome missile defense project, on which President Trump has promised to spend $175 billion over the next 3 years, will benefit contractors big and small. Those include companies like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Raytheon. I guess they call themselves RTX now because their name has been tainted, that build current generation missile systems, as well as emerging military tech firms like Elon Musk's SpaceX and Palmer Luckey's Anduril. Palmer Luckey is the brother-in-law of Matt Gaetz, by the way. And he's a self-described militant Zionist, both of which are rumored to have a shot at playing a leading role in the development of the new anti-missile system. And what do we need an anti-missile system for? Unless, I don't know, we're escalating against Russia. Oh yeah, Trump is trying to get more arms to Ukraine. There's no peace deal there. So the military budget is now approaching $1 trillion thanks to the big, beautiful bill. The AI warlords who also funded Trump's campaign, Mark Andreessen, Palmer Luckey, Elon Musk, they're getting a massive tax cut. But even Elon Musk is calling out the bill for raising the national debt to $3 trillion. So any libertarian, I mean, if you're against the Fed, you're against debt, the endless printing of money, and you voted for Trump. I mean, what did you think he was going to do? The only thing where I think he didn't signal what he was going to do here and scammed people was there were many times when he said he would not cut Medicare. His base doesn't want their Medicare cut. But this is about militarism. It's about basing our entire economy around the military. And a lot of people are duped about what's happening with ICE. They think ICE is like the ultimate agenda here is some mass deportation plan that's going to somehow benefit the American working class. There's going to be some new Operation Wetback like under Eisenhower, and then Americans are going to get good paying jobs to replace the quote unquote illegals. And this is really more about normalizing a secret police in America, normalizing something that I thought the right was against, which is black helicopters and federal agents storming through American cities and small towns. And that's what we're seeing across the country. I mean, this was at Home Depot in Cypress Park, LA, near where I lived here for 5 years. Never saw anything like this. Although there's like constant police presence of sheriffs and LAPD. This is a military style raid. These guys are carrying field latrines. They have scopes They brought out the big guns, and they showed up in a unmarked series of white vans in a Home Depot parking lot. And check the local media, check like the Boyle Heights local media. They detained one taco vendor. That's what they were there to do. They literally detained one taco vendor. MacArthur Park, just I guess this was yesterday, or this was July 7th. Another military style show of force inside the US. This is what it looked like. Federal troops on horseback, federal troops storming through, helicopters overhead, black helicopters in American cities. And they're not even arresting anyone. They're not going after some giant business that employs tons of undocumented migrants. They're just storming through a park where you do see a lot of migrants. And the MAGA defense of this is, oh, drug users hang out in the park. Well, then why not send the cops in? This is a federal military raid. And it's just simply about normalizing, using troops, getting rid of posse comitatus, shredding the Constitution, and using federal agents against the US while our money goes to AI warlords and the big five in the military industrial complex. Only 6% of the budget in the big, beautiful bill for the military will even go to soldiers or paying for their needs abroad or equipping soldiers. It's just corporate welfare. And so too is the ICE budget, tens and tens of billions of dollars for ICE, supposedly for mass deportations. As Trump talks about some kind of amnesty for restaurant workers and people working, undocumented migrants working in slaughterhouses. That's more corporate welfare. It's not about like saving the working class. It's about giving billions of dollars to private prisons like Geo Group. What is Geo Group? I mean, it's the biggest private prison contractor in the US. They got $1 billion deal from the Trump administration over the course of the next 15 years back in February. Now there's tens of billions more for them in the BBB. This is the announcement. 15-year contract to build 1,000 bed Delaney Hall facility in New Jersey. Who was the key lobbyist for the Geo Group for years? It's the current Attorney General, Pam Bondi. I mean, these are all just corporate kickbacks. And, we, the American citizen, will pay the price. I don't want troops in my city. Does anyone want troops in their hometown? That's what this is about.
It's just
the military parade was about.
It's just, and so Trump's base are the kind of people who like train in groups, like with their firearms for hypothetical raids by the government against them, right? That's the big appeal of like having gun rights, like to have a militia to protect yourself against government tyranny. But yet Trump then turns around and, 6 armed forces on U.S. citizens, except they happen to be in big cities. So Trump supporters are not supposed to care because everybody in cities are demonized as being just undocumented migrants and
they can show up. They can show up any way they want. They can show up without military gear on, in plain clothes, without ID. And if you get in their way, they can arrest you too. We're seeing so much footage of American citizens being arrested.
Yeah, as they did with people like Mahmoud Khalil, who's not a U.S. citizen, but who's here on a green card, and others. And on the military spending, I mean, Trump, I believe, is the first president since Eisenhower to use the term military-industrial complex. Like in his first term and also in his second term too, he's talked about the military-industrial complex. He criticized it. He said, like, they're out to make money. But what does he go ahead and do? He goes and enriches them and brags about it. They didn't get to $1 trillion, right, in this bill, but it came pretty close to $1 trillion Pentagon budget. And they're proud of that. And this golden dome, it's basically the Ronald Reagan fantasy about Star Wars. It's completely useless. There's no military justification for it. It's all just to recycle tax dollars into the military industrial complex, and no outrage at all from his base. Absolutely nothing. I mean,
no, they support it. And I mean, they've kept the country in a constant state of emergency in order to justify this gigantic grift, this gigantic theft. I mean, before this, it was the state of emergency invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, as if the country was at war, then cooking intelligence on Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, operating a gang inside the United States, Tren de Aragua, to justify Stephen Miller, arch-Zionist, nativist, who's devised this whole agenda to justify his agenda. It's and mark my words, at the end of the Trump era, come back to this. At the end of the Trump era, there will have been no gigantic deportation that removed all the undocumented migrants and all the Latinos that you want to see, that MAGA wants to see gone. It won't have happened. Numerous productive members of society will have been removed, and we, the American taxpayer, will have paid billions and billions of dollars to giant corporations run by Trump donors and former Trump and which are paying Trump cabinet members to do it. And the working class will be no better off. That's what this is about. The entire Trump era and the Trump brand is just about conning a section of the American public into allowing Trump to do what Biden did and Trump before him, running our pockets to loot the treasury and hand it over to rich donors. That's what was done with Operation Warp Speed. It's what was done with the Afghanistan war. It's what was done with the Ukraine proxy war. And that's what the Trump administration is doing. It's what Trump went to do in the Gulf states, is to go get as much money as he can collect. There was no real geopolitical agenda there except enriching his family. And, I was watching Steve Bannon's show, The War Room, because, he had some great commentary on Trump betraying his base to bomb Iran. But if you watch the whole show, like the rest of the show is just ads for products that benefit the Trump family. Trump's other son came on at one point and started hawking Trump golden cell phones. I mean, what do you think is going on?